It's 1966. Muscle cars are exploding onto American streets, and Dodge drops a bombshell that would become one of the most iconic names in automotive history. The Charger wasn't just another car, it was a statement, a promise, and the beginning of a legend that's still burning rubber today. The mid-60s were pure automotive magic. Ford had the Mustang tearing up sales charts, GM was flexing with the Camaro and Chevelle, and Chrysler knew they needed something special to compete. Enter the 1966 Dodge Charger, a full-size muscle car built on the proven B-body platform that already underpinned the Coronet. But this wasn't your grandfather's family sedan. The original Charger was all about presence. That distinctive fastback roofline, the hidden headlights behind that aggressive grille, and those taillights that wrapped around the rear like angry eyes, this was Detroit saying, "We're not playing games." The first-generation Charger came standard with a 318 cubic inch V8, but the real excitement started with the optional power plants. The 383 cubic inch big block pumped out a solid 325 horsepower, while the legendary 426 Hemi, yeah, that Hemi, delivered a earth-shaking 425 horses. These weren't just numbers on paper, they translated to quarter-mile times that made other manufacturers nervous. Inside, Dodge went all out with bucket seats, a center console, and full instrumentation that made you feel like you were piloting a fighter jet rather than driving to work. The interior was pure 60s muscle, functional, purposeful, and ready for business. Then came 1968, and everything changed. The second-generation Charger landed like a thunderbolt, and suddenly everyone else was playing catch-up. This was the Charger that would define the nameplate forever. That Coke bottle shape, the recessed grille, and proportions that still look perfect today. The 68 model year brought serious performance credentials. The RT package, road track for those keeping score, came standard with either the 440 Magnum or that monster 426 Hemi. We're talking about engines that could propel nearly 2 tons of Detroit steel from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. In 1968, that was borderline supernatural. But it was 1969 that truly cemented the Charger's legend. The styling got even more aggressive with that split grille and those round taillights that became instantly recognizable. More importantly, this was the year that introduced the world to some serious speed demons. The Charger 500 was built specifically for NASCAR, featuring aerodynamic improvements that helped Dodge dominate the superspeedways. And then there was the Charger Daytona, possibly the wildest production car ever to roll out of Detroit. That massive rear wing and extended nose cone weren't just for show. They helped the Daytona become the first production car to crack 200 mph. Only 505 were built, making it rarer than hen's teeth today. If you're digging this deep dive into American muscle, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Which generation Charger gets your heart racing? The classic lines of the second gen, or are you holding out for something newer? Let's hear it. Speaking of legends, we can't talk Chargers without mentioning a certain orange blur that terrorized Hazard County. The General Lee made the '69 Charger a household name, though it probably destroyed more examples than any other single factor in automotive history. Still, that car sliding across America's TV screens every week turned the Charger into a cultural icon that transcended the automotive world. But Hollywood wasn't the only place Chargers were making noise. On the drag strips and NASCAR ovals, these cars were serious business. Richard Petty's Charger Daytona won 27 races in 1970, including Petty's third Daytona 500. The aerodynamic package was so effective that NASCAR eventually banned it, but not before Dodge proved their point. Then the '70s happened and the oil crisis changed everything. The Charger lineup slowly morphed from tire-smoking street terror to something more practical. The third generation, running from 1971 to 1974, was still recognizably a Charger. But the magic was fading. The styling became more conservative, and while you could still get a Hemi through 1971, the writing was on the wall. By 1975, the Charger name was slapped on what was essentially a Cordoba coupe, a far cry from the tire-melting beasts of the previous decade. The late '70s and early '80s were particularly painful for Charger fans. The name survived, but on front-wheel drive compacts and economy cars that shared nothing with the original concept except badges. For true believers, these were dark times indeed. For nearly 20 years, the Charger name disappeared entirely from Dodge showrooms. Then, in 2006, something miraculous happened. Dodge announced they were bringing back the Charger name, and this time they meant business. The new car was a four-door sedan, controversial at first, but it packed serious heat under the hood and styling that clearly referenced the classic second-generation cars. The LX platform gave Dodge a solid foundation, and the engine lineup was impressive from day one. The base V6 was fine for daily driving, but the real excitement came with the Hemi engines. The 5.7-liter produced 340 horsepower, while the 6.1-liter in the SRT8 pumped out a massive 425 horses, the same number as the original 71 Hemi, but with modern reliability and efficiency. The styling struck the right notes too. That aggressive grille, the muscular proportions, and details like the round taillights clearly said Charger without being a retro cartoon. This was a modern interpretation of a classic theme, and it worked. The current generation Charger, introduced in 2011, took everything up another notch. The styling became even more aggressive and the engine options got seriously wild. The 6.4-liter SRT 392 delivers 485 horsepower, but that's just the warm-up act. The real star is the Hellcat, a supercharged 6.2-liter beast that produces a tire-shredding 707 horsepower. This isn't just powerful, it's dangerously, hilariously, wonderfully excessive. 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds from a four-door sedan? That's supercar territory, and it comes with a back seat and a trunk. Then Dodge went completely insane and created the Hellcat Red Eye, pumping out 797 horsepower. And just when you thought they'd lost their minds completely, they announced the Jailbreak Edition with 807 horses. These aren't just muscle cars. They're rolling statements that American excess is alive and well. The quarter-mile performance numbers are equally staggering. A Hellcat Red Eye can reportedly run the quarter in the mid-10-second range straight from the factory, numbers that required serious modifications just a generation ago. Modern Chargers haven't forgotten their racing roots. In NASCAR, the Charger body has been competitive in the Cup Series, continuing a tradition that stretches back to those early superspeedway battles. While the cars are purpose-built race machines that share little with their showroom counterparts, the name continues to represent Dodge's performance heritage. On the drag strip, Hellcat-powered Chargers are rewriting the rulebook. Stock examples running in the tens, modified cars dipping well into the single digits. It's a level of performance that would have seemed impossible in the original muscle car era. From that first fastback in 1966 to today's supercharged monsters, the Charger has remained true to its core mission, delivering maximum American muscle with attitude to spare. It's been a wild ride, and somehow we get the feeling the best chapters might still be ahead. The Dodge Charger, proving that sometimes the best way to build a legend is to never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible.